Hi guys, it's Group 4 right here. It's my pleasure to introduce my group mates to you. We have Muhammad Rais Miza, me Wong Siu Mei, Lim Hui En, Chong Siu Lan, Ho Ziling, and also Vernita Racha. And now let's begin to our proposal. The title of our proposal is Up Close and Personal with Amir Kadir. The duration of the documentary is 6 minutes. The shooting places are at Amir Kadir Culture. It located at Ampang Jaya, Selangor. Here comes the concept. The look that we decide are mixed within warm tone and cold tone. And warm tone will use on B-rolls and cold tone will use on interview scene. The mood that we wanted to bring out through this content are proud, cheerful, excited, and blessed. Feel for the audience we wanted to bring out to this content are make the audience to feel proud to be Malaysian, motivate the audience, assist those in crowd who are trying hard but also feeling lost in their efforts to trust that as long as they work hard, they can succeed. Enable the audience to have a more in-depth understanding of the design industry. Now, I'll pass to the next presenter, Lim Hui En.
Now I'm going to present the content of documentary about Mr. Amir. We got 4 content in this documentary. Now I'm going to present the first one, which is the background and childhood of Mr. Amir. In this content, we can know more about the basic information about Mr. Amir and get to know him in a more comprehensive way. In this video, we will show Mr. Amir being interviewed and insert photo or videos about Mr. Amir background and childhood so that can let the audience have a deep impression of him. The second content we will put is Mr. Amir interest. I believe that Mr. Amir interest not only just drawing, designing and so on. That's why we want to discover more unknown interests from Mr. Amir and let the audience know the other side of Mr. Amir. In this documentary, we will insert the photos or videos about Mr. Amir interest and even finished product.
Continue for the third and fourth content, which is for the third content we'll be focusing on Mr. Amir about his university life. We choose this content because we can know about Mr. Amir's characteristic or personality in university. In this content we also will include some photo or video of Mr. Amir university life. And for another content is Mr. Amir memories in Kuwait, where in this content Mr. Amir could tell us how he started seek a new opportunity in this fashion industry. Moreover, for the fourth contents, we will be focusing on how to know Mr. Amir from another perspective, which is in this interview we will include 2 of his workers to tell us about how would they think of Mr. Amir. Like example, how was Mr. Amir in the mood of working, as well a different characteristic when Mr. Amir with his worker, which is like example, is he a happy person or fun person and so on. So that is the content that we will be talking about for this documentary.
Moving on to the production schedule, as you can see on 20th of April is the day lecturer want us to form a group and distribute the position and tasks. Coming up on the 22nd and 23rd of April, we choose the content we want to do and discuss the outline, ideas, concept, define the objective and message. Start from 25th, we carry on preparing the pre-production of writing the synopsis, content, interview script, decide the talent, schedule, screenplay and storyboard as well. On the 5th of May is the submission for the final proposal. On 22nd of May, we decide to go shooting at Amir Kadir Culture. And after that, we start our post-production, which is editing, include sound mixing, insert voiceover and montage with it. In the end, we'll exporting, finalize the video on June and it will be submitted before 30th of June. Okay, next, afterward, so here it will be the 3 talents in this film production. Firstly will be the Amir Kadir, the main interview protagonist. He is 6 years old this year. Is an international fashion designer and a founder of Amir Kadir Culture in Ampang, Malaysia. Lastly, another 2 talents are the workers while working at Amir Kadir Culture.
My name is Chong Siu Lan and I'll be talking about the flow of the documentary. As for the flow, we break it into 3 stages. The first one is called introduction, the second one is content, and the third one is conclusion. As I mentioned earlier, the flow of the documentary, we break it into 3 stages. Now I will explain what we have in the 3 stages. The first is the introduction of Mr. Amir. Next, the content. We also break the content into 4 parts. The first part is his background and childhood. The second part is about his interests. And the third part is about Mr. Amir Uni's life back then and also his memory in Kuwait. The fourth one is about getting to understand him from another perspective. The last one is the conclusion. As for the conclusion, we will ask him to share with us about his future plans and a few words of encouragement to those who want to take up or plan to take up fashion designer.
So right now, I'm going to talk about the storyline for the storyboard of our presentation. It starts off with a black screen, very vague, people wondering what are we going to get into for this documentary. The second slide, it shows a personal picture of Mr. Amir. We have to introduce him, let the audience know him. And then after that, we get into like more personal pictures of him, like maybe with a model or his clients for the clothes that he's working on. After that, it cuts to black again, and then we'll be moving into like a flashback scene. There we will see Mr. Amir talking about his experiences in our documentary. His first before he gets famous, he was in a village for sure. Like we get to know about Mr. Amir Kadir's village and his childhood, where he's come from, where his background, how did he grow up, his family, everything. So when we talk about his childhood, we are always interested to know Mr. Amir Kadir before he was famous. How did he get into fashion? So the next slides will tell us about like his interests besides fashion. Of course, like people will always have many interests. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you have one particular one that you love so much. There's always a hobby, let's say, or a side project you might want to do instead of the main thing you want to do in your life, just to tone down a little bit. So the next one, we'll dive into his college years. We'll know more about him. He studies fashion, of course, before he goes to Kuwait to start his fashion business. He's got to learn it. He goes to college, and we'll be seeing more of that hopefully from Mr. Amir Kadir. So in the next slides, we might see like slide 7, we might see like him in Kuwait. Hopefully a lot of pictures of him experiencing whatever it is in Kuwait, or whatever that he learned, anything about fashion. We would love to see that in this documentary. And the next one, we will be interviewing his employees as well, at least 2 of them. So in the 8th slide, it will be shown in this documentary about his 2 employees. They will be like stating their information, like names and age, and how long they've worked with Mr. Amir Kadir, and of course the differences in their style between the mastermind Amir Kadir and of course their work methods. So in the 9th slide, we will hopefully see like a picture of Amir Kadir with a customer, or like through phone or face-to-face. Of course, we will get to know more about Amir Kadir's employees and in his store, like their everyday work style. So in the bridal store, we will be getting more information from his employees, maybe get a different perspective instead of Amir Kadir. Even though he is the subject of the documentary, we will get to know more about him through the eyes of other people. For the last slide, we will be closing it up on the name. It will be indirectly like a headline, Amir Kade, that's how it ends. So like that what going to get people memorable and like watch the documentary and be invested in it. Thank you.